Meet the new Ford Maverick, the smaller sibling to the Ford Ranger Ute. For now, it's only on sale in North America, but we reckon a car like this could work in Australia as well. After all, not everyone who buys a double cab ute uses the vehicle to its full potential, and they just want the added practicality. In this video, we'll show you the ins and outs of the Ford Maverick, reveal some of its quirky features, and tell you what it's like to drive. Although it shares some of the Ford Ranger's looks, the Maverick is actually based on the same platform as the Ford Focus hatch and the Ford Escape SUV. Under the bonnet is a turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. Payload is capped at about 680 kilograms as opposed to a tonne, and the towing capacity is capped at about 1800 kilograms. Nevertheless, we reckon the Maverick will appeal to customers who want double cab ute practicality but the fuel efficiency of a small car. There are 3 model grades in the US, including the Workhorse XL, which is about $21,000 US or $31,500 Australian, the mid-level XLT, $24,000 US or $35,000 Australian, and the luxury Lariat, which starts from $27,000 US or about $40,000 Australian. There are 2 engine options, a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder hybrid with a CVT auto and front-wheel drive, and a 2 litre 4-cylinder turbo with a conventional torque converter automatic and all-wheel drive. The hybrid is standard. The optional turbo engine adds about $400 US or about $600 Australian to the price of each variant. As tested, with options including a sunroof, sliding rear window, factory-fitted protective film on the front portion of the bonnet and fenders, spray-in bed liner, a removable cargo basket and more, the top-line Lariat, powered by the 2 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, was priced about $37,000 US or $55,500 Australian. It might seem small because it rides low to the ground for a double cab ute. It has about the same clearance as a Toyota Corolla, but the Maverick is quite a big car. As you might expect, the interior of the Maverick is actually quite roomy and practical. In fact, there's more practicality in here than the new Ford Ranger in many ways. We've got a really large smartphone wireless charging pad. There's a little notch here so you can stack your phone vertically or angle it down if you still want to use a charge cord. We've got USB-A, USB-C. We've got the power window switch here for the rear window. There's a sunroof above my head. The center console is quite large and there's pockets everywhere. There's a large pocket here, a small pocket there, 2 decent sized cup holders in the middle, massive holders in the doors, and we've got a little storage notch up above the infotainment screen and right next to the infotainment screen. It looks like Ford's going to make that a bigger screen one day, but for now there's a little storage pocket. I really love some of the treatments and finishes that give the cabin a lift. There's nice design across the dash top and the doors in here. The door handles are quite unique and actually very practical. There are door lock switches in both front doors, which is great when the driver jumps out of the car quickly and the front seat passenger wants to hit lock. But there's no illumination. At least the Ford Ranger gets a little illuminated light in the corner of one of these buttons. I could be going out on a limb here, but not everyone gets as excited as I do about extendable sun visors. The Maverick has them, and Ford took it out of the new Ford Ranger. Dislikes? There's a rotator dial instead of a traditional gear selector, but it does free up more space in the center console. Rear seat passengers also get access to most creature comforts, but it seems Ford has taken some of the space from the back row to make sure the ute tub is large enough. This is where the Maverick starts to fall down just a little bit. Back seat space is a bit tight, though I have just enough headroom thanks to the roof being scalloped out. I've got just enough knee room. There is more room in the back of, say, a Hilux, an Isuzu D-Max or a Ford Ranger. There are map pockets behind both front seats. At a squeeze, you can get a large drink bottle into the door pocket. There's USB-A, USB-C and a household power socket. And one of the Maverick's party tricks, the storage space under the back seat. There's more space here than under the back seat of a Ford Ranger. While the Ford Ranger's under-seat storage space is compromised by the heavy-duty chassis, the Maverick's car-like platform gives you much more room. The advantage of the Maverick's under-seat storage is there's room here for a laptop, a handbag, or anything else you don't want thieves to see if they peek into the window. The big surprise for the Maverick is just how big the ute tub is. According to Ford's measurements, the Maverick ute tub is only marginally smaller than the Ford Ranger tray. And as with the new Ranger, the Maverick is available with sliding tie-down points, a spray-in bed liner, power sockets, and lighting. In the US, the Maverick is also available with this handy basket that makes it easier and safer to carry longer loads when the tailgate is down. It can be fitted or removed in a matter of seconds. Proving there's an optical illusion, the Maverick is bigger than it looks. In fact, it's only about 28 centimetres shorter than a Ford Ranger. Time to take it for a drive. In many regards, there's not much to report on the way it drives. It drives really normally. It feels like a car, and that shouldn't be a surprise given that it shares its DNA with the Ford Focus and the Ford Escape. The engine gets the job done, it's perky enough, it's quiet enough, it's refined enough, and it's even pretty quick. If you couldn't see the tray in the rearview mirror, you wouldn't even know this is a ute. It's big enough to get the job done and small enough to handle the shopping centre car parks. The turning circle of 12 metres isn't quite as tight as it is for a small car, but it's definitely better than most double cab utes. I've really got nothing to complain about. The suspension's dealing well with these bumps, I've got good tyre grip, the brakes feel reassuring. It does 0 to 100 in about 8 seconds, which is average by small car standards, but actually quick for a double cab ute. That's a fraction slower than a Volkswagen Amarok turbo diesel V6 and comfortably quicker than most 4-cylinder diesel double cab utes, which typically stop the clocks in about 10 to 12 seconds. Not bad. The more I drive this car, the more I really like it. But there's one tiny thing that bothers me. I really don't like the steering feel. When you go from turning to the straight ahead position, it feels heavy and then light again. Fuel economy has been hovering around 7.5 to 8.5 litres per 100, which is small car levels. We haven't had a chance to test the Maverick with a load in the back, but I've got to say a car like this would really suit a lot of buyers who don't really need all the capabilities of today's double cab utes. I could really see Australian families getting into a car like this. You've got 4-cylinder fuel economy, you don't have the hassle with diesel particulate filters, and of course the Maverick has better road holding than off-road double cab utes, especially in the wet. Before the Ranger fanboys get upset, I'm not saying the Maverick should replace the Ranger, I'm saying it could sell alongside it. I really think this car would be a hit in Australia. Let's face it, they'd sell more of these than they have of the Ford Focus or the Escape. Finally, someone has created the ute that truly does drive like a car. Please, Ford, please consider building this in right-hand drive. To read the full review on the Ford Maverick, please go to Drive.com.au, hit like if you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future updates.